Okay. Shall I start?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So let me start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shiguro Shyotapadakamalam Shigurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे. Okay, Hare Krishna, devotees, welcome to the morning Srimad Bhagavatam reading. So today I will be reading and then briefly discussing Srimad third canto, chapter 21, verses 45 through 47. So I will read the verses, the synonyms, and then the translation, and we'll read the purport and we will briefly discuss it. प्रविश्य तत् तीर्थवरम् आदिराजन् सहात्मजः ददर्श मुनिम् आसीनं तस्मिन् हुता शनम् विद्योतमानं वपुषा तपसि उग्र युजाचिरम् नातिकशामं भगवतः स्निग्धापाङ्गावलोकनात् तद्व्याहृतामृतकालपीयूषश्रवणनेन च प्रांशुं पद्मपलाशाक्षं जटिलं चिरवासनम् उपसंश्रित्य मलिनं यथार्हणम् असंकृतम्. Synonyms or the word-to-word meanings. Pravishya, entering, tat, that, tirtha varam, best of sacred places, adi, rajaha, the first monarch or the Swayambhuva Manu, saha atmaja, along with his daughter, dadarsha, saw, munim, the sage, asinam, sitting, tasmin, in the hermitage, huta, being offered oblations, huta ashanam, the sacred fire, vidyotamanam, shining brilliantly, vapusha, by his body, tapasi, in penance, ugra, terribly, yuja, engaged in yoga, chiram, for a long time, na, not, atikshamam, very emaciated, Bhagavata, of the Lord, Snigdha, affectionate, Apanga, sidelong, Avalokanath, from the glance, Tat, of him, Vyaharita, from the words, Amrita Kala, moon like, Piyusha, the nectar, Shravanena, by hearing, Cha, and Pramashum, tall, Padma, lotus flower, Palasha, petal, Aksham, eyes, Jatilam, matted locks, Chira Vasanam, having rags, for clothes. Upasam Shritya, having approached, Malinam, soiled, Yatha, like, Arhanam, gem, Asamskritam, unpolished. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Hearing that most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the sage, the first, sorry, entering that most sacred spot with his daughter and going near the sage, the first monarch, Swayambhuva Manu, saw the sage sitting in his hermitage, having just propitiated the sacred fire by pouring oblations into it. His body shone most brilliantly. Though he had engaged in austere penance for a long time, he was not emaciated, for the Lord had cast his affectionate sidelong glance upon him, and he had also heard the nectar flowing from the moon-like words of the Lord. The sage was tall, his eyes were large, like the petals of a lotus, and he had matted locks on his head. He was clad in rags. Swayambhuva Manu approached and saw him to be somewhat soiled, like an unpolished gem. Purport. Here are some descriptions of a brahmachari yogi. In the morning, the first duty of a brahmachari seeking spiritual elevation is huta huta shana, to offer sacrificial oblations to the Supreme Lord. Those engaged in brahmacharya cannot sleep until 7 or 9 o'clock in the morning. They must rise early in the morning, at least 1.5 hours before the sun rises, and offer oblations. Or in this age, they must chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. As referred to by Lord Chaitanya, Kalau nasti eva nasti eva nasti eva gatir anyatha. There is no other alternative, no other alternative, no other alternative in this age to chanting the holy name of the Lord. The brahmachari must rise early in the morning and after placing himself should chant the holy name of the Lord. From the very features of the sage, it appeared that he had undergone great austerities. That is the sign of one observing brahmacharya, the vow of celibacy. If one lives otherwise, it will be manifest in the lust visible in his face and body. The word vidyotamanam indicates that the brahmachari feature showed in his body. That is the certificate that one has undergone great austerity in yoga. A drunkard or smoker or sex monger can never be eligible to practice yoga. Generally, yogis look very skinny because of their not being comfortably situated. But Kardama Muni was not emaciated, for he had seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Here, the word snigdha panga valokanat means that he was fortunate enough to see Supreme Lord face to face. He looked healthy because he had directly received the nectarian sound vibrations from the lotus lips of the personality of Godhead. Similarly, one who hears the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, also improves in health. We have actually seen that brahmacharis and grihasthas connected with the International Society for Krishna Consciousness have improved in health and a luster has come to their faces. It is essential that a brahmachari engaged in spiritual advancement look very healthy and lustrous. The comparison of the sage to an unpolished gem is very appropriate. Even if a gem just taken from a mine looks unpolished, the luster of the gem cannot be stopped. Similarly, although Kardama was not properly dressed and his body was not properly cleansed, his overall appearance was gem-like. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Hare Krishna. So we will discuss this briefly in the next 15 minutes. The context here is that Vidura is asking Maitreya Muni about the lineage of of the yes Prahlad Maharaj, beginning with the no, sorry, not Prahlad Maharaj. He's asking about Swayambhuva Manu and how did his daughter marry, and how did the lineage go on. So here we already discussed about Kardama Muni meditating and praying to the Lord, and the Lord himself came and gave his appearance to him, and also told him that in a couple of days, Swayambhuva Manu will come with his daughter and offer his daughter in marriage to you, which is your desire. And we saw all his prayers to the Lord, and now here we are. The Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, has come to Kardama Muni with his daughter. Uh, the name Devahuti is not mentioned here, but with his daughter he came. And here we see that in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has focused mostly on or a lot on the brahmacharya life. Kardama Muni being a brahmachari yogi, he mentioned that Srila Prabhupada says that in the morning, the first duty of brahmachari seeking spiritual elevation is hutashana, meaning offering sacrificial oblations to the Supreme Lord. And then he goes on to talk about the life of a brahmachari. What does a brahmachari do? So I was thinking that we can quickly look at the brahmachari life as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. I will share my screen once again. And we'll read the brahmachari, a few verses, the English translation of the verses related to the brahmachari life. This is a chapter. The name of the title of the chapter is The Perfect Society, 4 Spiritual Classes. Text 1. Narada Muni said, a student should practice completely controlling his senses. He should be submissive and should have an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master. With a great vow, the brahmachari should live at the Gurukula, or only for the benefit of Guru. So here we see Narada Muni saying that the main thing a brahmachari should practice is completely controlling his senses. This is very important because if the mind and senses are contaminated, if they are taking shelter in the material elements or lustful desires and things like that, there is no question of making progress in spiritual life, because Spiritual life means going beyond the material senses. We have the material senses, and spiritual understanding or getting on the platform of spiritual life means going beyond the material senses. But we have to go beyond using these senses. So how do we go using these senses? By purifying them, by purifying the senses, by getting out of the material consciousness. And for that, a practice is required. And Krishna says that also in chapter 7, Bhagavad Gita, etam ye yesham tvantagatam papam. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. So it is important to control the senses, and the brahmachari life gives that platform. It gives the student brahmachari the required practice to control their senses once they if they decide after finishing the brahmachari stage, if they decide to go into the grihastha ashram, marry. So having control the senses and mind, it is possible on that platform to then go further and understand the spiritual science, like Prabhupada says, to understand the science of spirituality and get on the devotional platform. In this verse, the Gurukula is also mentioned. Gurukul today, usually people think Gurukul means school, but it is Gurukula. Guru means spiritual master, and Kula means the place. So the place where the spiritual master is living. So serving the spiritual master is the main motive of the main goal of the student, the brahmachari life. Text 2. At both junctions of day and night, namely in the early morning and in the evening, he should be fully absorbed in thoughts of the spiritual master, fire, the sun god, and Lord Vishnu. By chanting the Gayatri mantra, he should worship them. These are again the practice to cleanse the mind and the senses. Being called by the spiritual master, the student should study the Vedic mantras regularly. Every day before beginning his studies and at the end of his studies, the disciple should respectfully offer obeisances unto the spiritual master. Text 4. Carrying pure kusha grass in his hand, the brahmachari should dress regularly with a belt of straw and with deerskin garments. He should wear matted hair, carry a rod and water pot, and be decorated with a sacred thread as recommended in the Shastras. Text 5. The brahmachari should go out morning and evening to collect alms, and he should offer all that he collects to the spiritual master. He should eat only if ordered to take food by the spiritual master. Otherwise, if the spiritual master does not give his order, he may sometimes have to fast. 6. A brahmachari should be quite well behaved and gentle and should not eat or collect more than necessary. He must always be active and expert, fully believing in the instructions of the spiritual master and the Shastra. Fully controlling his senses, he should associate only as much as necessary with women or those controlled by women. 7. A brahmachari, or one who has not accepted the grihastha ashram or family life, must rigidly avoid talking with women or about women, for the senses are so powerful that they may agitate even the mind of a sannyasi, a member of the renounced order of life. Text 8. If the wife of a spiritual master is young, a young brahmachari should not allow her to care for his hair, massage his body with oil, or bathe him with affection like a mother. 9. Woman is compared to fire, and man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for important business and not otherwise. Okay. Uh, Let me read till verse number 12. Text 10. As long as a living entity is not completely self realized, as long as he is not independent of the misconception of identifying with his body, which is nothing but a reflection of the original body and senses, he cannot be relieved of the conception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman. Thus, there is every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is bewildered. 11. All the rules and regulations apply equally to the householders and the sannyasi, the member of the renounced order of life. The grihastha, however, is given permission by the spiritual master to indulge in sex during the period favorable for procreation. 12. Brahmacharis or grihasthas who have taken the vow of celibacy as described above should not indulge in the following: applying powder or ointment to the eyes, massaging the head with oil, massaging the body with the hands, seeing a woman or painting a woman's picture, eating meat, drinking wine, decorating the body with flower garlands, smearing scented ointment on the body or decorating the body with ornaments. These they should give up. Okay, so I'll stop reading here. Interestingly, here this verse says that all the rules and regulations apply equally to householder and the sannyasi, the member of the renounced order of life. So most of us here are in the grihastha, and the verse says that these apply to the grihastha ashram also. But unless one has practiced in the brahmachari stage of their life, it is very difficult to apply because the mind and senses are taking shelter in the matter and lust and greed, etc. Krishna says chapter 17, 16 or 17, he says that the royal gate to hell are the three things: lust, greed, and anger, lust, and greed. So, Srila Prabhupada focusing on brahmachari is a very significant thing here, that once someone has practiced the brahmachari life, they are able to control their senses and purify their mind, both control and purify their senses and mind, which then helps them live the rest of their lives in a controlled manner. Another important aspect is the knowledge, Shastra. The Shastra has been brought up many times. And Srila Prabhupada also says that a brahmachari is engaged in studying the Shastras or the scriptures. The study of Shastra and scriptures help them to understand how to get the knowledge of how to live the life and the spiritual subject matter. So, having said that, some of the other points that Srila Prabhupada makes is that the yogis or the uh, persons who have engaged in spiritual life, whether they are brahmacharis or grihasthas, they have a luster on their faces. And Prabhupada was asked by someone that your disciples are bright faced, and Prabhupada smiled and said, yes, they are bright faced because they are practicing Krishna consciousness. So it is a fact that devotees are bright faced, having practiced Krishna consciousness, because Krishna is the source of all illumination. uh, it says that in the Bhagavad Gita also, chapter 15, and being the source of all illumination, the soul being part and parcel of Krishna is also illuminating, and thus it illuminates the body also. And that beauty is not just the physical beauty, it's the luster that comes out, the bright faced, like Srila Prabhupada says. And Prabhupada says that yes, the brahmacharis and grihasthas, they live healthy, they are healthy, and they are bright faced. And it's compared to Kardama Muni is compared to a unpolished gem. Gem, whether it is polished or unpolished, Prabhupada says that it will emanate the qualities of the gem, like the luster of the gem. So he says that even if a gem just taken from a mine looks unpolished, the luster of the gem cannot be stopped. Similarly, although Kardama was not properly dressed and his body was not properly cleansed, his overall appearance was gem-like. So I'll stop here with just a couple of minutes left. Quickly re, 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 going to the summary of what we discussed. We read third canto, chapter 21, verses 45 through 47, where the Swayambhuva Manu is coming to the hermitage of Kardama Muni with his daughter, and over there, Kardama Muni is described as a sage who is tall, whose eyes were large, like the petals of a rose, with matted locks, and had a very bright luster on his face. So Prabhupada focuses on the brahmachari life, the brahmachari ashram, and we read from the seventh canto, chapter 12, a few of the beginning verses which describe the brahmachari rules and the life of a brahmachari as given by the scriptures or in Srimad Bhagavatam. And we also discussed that the main aim of the brahmachari life is to cleanse or purify the mind and the senses, which is then helpful in leading the next stages of life, which may be grihastha, vanaprastha, anything. Once that training is got, it is important to get that training. It helps to further elevate oneself in the next stages of life. And Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, Yesham Tvantagatam Papam, persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion. And they engage themselves in my service with determination. So it is a prerequisite to have the mind and the senses cleansed and purified, because we have to use the mind and senses to go beyond the material mind and senses, which is the spiritual platform. So I'll stop here and invite any discussion if there are any. Otherwise, we can stop. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you everyone for joining. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day, and Hare Krishna.